Wait a minute, because maybe you think like a poor person too, even if you work day and night. Poor thinking says, I can't. Rich thinking asks, how can I? And the difference between these two phrases is the difference between survival and prosperity. In this video, we'll explore how to stop thinking poor and start thinking like those who build their future instead of waiting for a chance. Welcome to Stop Thinking Poor, a transformational journey into the psychology of wealth. In this audiobook, you'll discover the hidden differences between how the rich think and how the poor think. Not to shame, but to awaken. Not to compare, but to correct. Because if you don't change how you think about money, you'll always sabotage how you make it, spend it, and keep it. And this journey begins with a single shift from scarcity to abundance. Because scarcity whispers, there's not enough. Abundance says, I can create more. Scarcity waits for opportunity. Abundance builds it. Scarcity blames circumstance. Abundance takes control. And the moment you choose to see differently, you start to live differently. Chapter 1, The Mindset Gap. The real divide between the rich and the poor isn't money, it's mindset. A poor mindset focuses on limitation. A rich mindset focuses on leverage. The poor see time as something to trade for money. The rich see time as something to invest. The poor think in terms of survival. The rich think in terms of salability. That's the mindset gap. And it's not about greed, it's about growth. Because your thoughts are the blueprint of your reality. And if your thoughts are small, your life will be too. Think about it. When someone says, I can't afford that, their mind shuts down possibility. But when someone says, how can I afford that? Their mind begins to innovate. That one question changes everything. Because poor thinkers avoid problems, rich thinkers solve them. The rich don't wish for less difficulty. They build more ability. They don't complain about the game. They learn rules, then rewrite them. You can't become rich thinking poor thoughts, because the mind is a magnet. It attracts whatever frequency it lives on. If your thoughts are rooted in fear, you'll attract situations that confirm that fear. If your thoughts are rooted in potential, you'll attract opportunities that expand it. So, the first step to wealth isn't earning, it's unlearning. Unlearn the belief that money is evil. Unlearn the belief that success makes you selfish. Unlearn the belief that comfort equals safety. Because all three are lies that keep people average. Money doesn't change who you are. It reveals it. If you're generous when you have little, you'll be unstoppable when you have much. If you're disciplined when no one's watching, you'll be powerful when everyone is. Wealth doesn't make character, it magnifies it. Chapter 2. The Mental Habits of Poverty. The poor mind thrives on reaction. The rich mind lives on reflection. One lives in urgency, the other lives in vision. When you think poor, you chase instant gratification. You want comfort now, even if it costs you control later. That's why poor thinkers scroll when they should be studying, spend when they should be saving, and talk when they should be building. The rich don't think in minutes, they think in decades. They plant seeds others never water long enough to see grow. They suffer temporarily for permanent peace. That's the difference. Poor thinking says, I'll rest now, I've worked enough. Rich thinking says, I'll rest when the system I built can work without me. Poor thinking says, I deserve this. Rich thinking asks, have I earned this? Poor thinking fears discipline. Rich thinking feeds on it, because discipline isn't restriction, it's direction. It's how you tell your future self, I've got you. That's why the rich wake up early, not to brag, but to build. They spend the first hour of the day controlling their mind, so the rest of the world doesn't control it for them. Meanwhile, poor thinkers surrender their focus to distraction. They start their mornings with comparison, scrolling, reacting, absorbing chaos before creating clarity, and then they wonder why their day feels like someone else's design. Here's the truth. You can't build wealth with a scattered mind. You can't plan your empire while drowning in noise. You must learn to master your mental energy as fiercely as the rich protect their financial energy, because the two are linked. Where your attention goes, your income flows. Chapter 3. Your beliefs about money are programmed. No one is born thinking poor. We learn it, we inherit it, through conversations, environments, and expectations. We absorb our parents' fears, society's limits, and culture's opinions. If you grew up hearing, "We can't afford that," you built a subconscious identity around lack. If you were told money changes people, you learned to fear success. If you saw people work hard and stay broke, learn to associate effort with struggle, not with creation. But here's the thing. Beliefs are not truth. They're habits of thought. And habits can be changed. You can reprogram your financial reality by reprogramming your internal dialogue. Every time you say, "I can't," replace it with, "How can I?" Every time you say, "I don't have enough," replace it with, "I'm learning to create more." Because your brain listens to your language, and it builds evidence for whatever you repeatedly declare. So be careful what you affirm. Your thoughts are blueprints, and your words are the bricks. The poor mindset looks for reasons. The rich mindset looks for results. The poor ask, "Why me?" The rich ask, "What now?" The poor see money as survival. The rich see it as strategy. And that's the difference between being stuck and being self-made, because poor thinking isn't about income level, it's about identity level. You can have little and think rich. You can have millions and think poor. The key isn't how much you have, it's how much you believe you can create. You must rewire your beliefs about possibility. You must shift from earning to building, from surviving to scaling, from waiting to working, and it all begins in one place, your mind. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the difference between earning money and creating wealth. You'll learn why poor thinkers chase paychecks, but rich thinkers build systems. This is where everything changes, because once you see what wealth really is, you can never unsee it. Chapter 4. Earning money versus creating wealth. There's a trap that keeps millions stuck in survival, the illusion of earning. You've been told that if you just work hard enough, you'll get ahead, but the system wasn't designed for hard work alone. It rewards smart leverage. The poor think in hours, the rich think in assets. The poor trade time for money. The rich trade value for freedom. When you think poor, you believe the only way to earn more is to work more. But the rich know that the goal isn't more hours, it's more impact per hour. They ask, "How can I make money while I sleep?" Because that's not fantasy, it's strategy. They build systems, automate income, and create vehicles that move even when they rest. That's why wealthy people seem calm. They're not trapped in the cycle of exchange. Poor thinking says, "If I stop working, I stop earning." Rich thinking says, "If I stop working, my system keep earning." The poor mind fears stepping away from the job that drains them. The rich mind fears staying too long in one that limits them. You can't build wealth by just working in your life. You must work on your life. Every paycheck you earn buys you two things, comfort or opportunity. One keeps you safe, the other makes you free. And freedom, not luxury, is the true goal of wealth. Remember, poor people work for money, the rich make money work for them. Chapter 5. The price of security. Let's be honest, most people don't really want wealth. They want safety, they want predictable, they want guaranteed, but security comes at a cost. And that cost is your potential. The poor mind clings to certainty. The rich mind embraces calculated risk. It's not recklessness, it's readiness, because every level of wealth demands courage. The courage to bet on yourself. The courage to lose before you learn. The courage to outgrow environments that once felt comfortable. You can't build an extraordinary life with ordinary fear. The rich understand that uncertainty is not the enemy. It's the arena where transformation happens. That's why they take risks others won't. They invest in skills that may not pay off immediately, in projects that may fail before they flourish. But failure doesn't frighten them. Stagnation does. Because playing small guarantees you'll stay small. And security, when overvalued, becomes a cage with a soft pillow. Remember this: comfort is the currency the poor trade for growth. If you keep choosing safety, you'll keep getting the same results. The moment you step outside what's certain, you start walking toward what's possible. Chapter 6. Poor thinking wastes what it has. Poverty isn't always the absence of money. It's the mismanagement of it. The poor spend emotionally. The rich spend intentionally. The poor buy to feel good now. The rich buy to build value later. It's not about being cheap. It's about being strategic. Because money is a tool, and how you use it reveals what you understand about it. Poor thinkers treat money like a visitor. They spend it the moment it arrives. Rich thinkers treat money like a partner. They give it a job before it leaves. They tell every dollar where to go, so it multiplies when it gets there. It's not about having a million. It's about learning to manage the first 100. If you can't control a small amount, you'll lose a large one. The poor think more money will fix bad habits. The rich know bad habits will destroy any amount. That's why the rich don't chase money, they chase mastery. They don't ask, how much can I make? They ask, how well can I manage? Because management is what turns income, independence. Remember, you can't out-ear poor habits. Chapter 7. The energy of money. Money isn't just paper, it's energy. A reflection of exchange. When you think poor, you see money as scarce, and scarcity energy repels abundance. When you think rich, treat money with respect. You give it purpose, gratitude, and discipline, and that energy attracts more. The poor complain about bills. The rich bless them because bills are proof of participation in the economy. Proof that you are trusted, capable, active. When you start appreciating what you have, you create space for more. Money flows where it's respected. It runs from where it's resented. This is why emotional alignment matters. If deep down you believe money corrupts, you will subconsciously reject it. You see wealth as power for good, you'll magnetize it through value creation. You don't attract money by wanting it, you attract it by becoming useful, by creating, by solving, by serving. The poor say, I need money. The rich say, I create value. The difference isn't grammar, it's frequency. Remember, money follows value always. Chapter 8. Invest in what you don't yet understand. The poor wait until they know everything to begin. The rich begin and learn along the way, because the greatest cost of all is hesitation. The rich don't fear ignorance. They fear inaction. They invest in education before entertainment. They buy books before brands, courses before cars. They understand that skill is the most scalable currency. Once you learn something valuable, no economy can take it from you. That's why they never say it's too expensive. They say, is it worth it? They see money as a magnifier. And when invested in the right knowledge, it becomes a life multiplier. The poor look for cheap. The rich look for value, because cheap always costs more in the long run. In time, in regret, in opportunity. So never hesitate to bet on your mind. It's the only investment that pays you forever. Remember, the rich buy growth, the poor buy escape. You're beginning to see it now. Wealth isn't a number, it's a nature. It's a collection of patterns, perspectives, and decisions that compound into freedom. But the next step is critical, because understanding how to think differently is one thing. But becoming different requires a shift in identity. In the next part, we'll uncover the invisible force that locks most people into poverty, the emotional addiction to struggle, why some people subconsciously cling to hardship, and how to break that cycle forever. Chapter 9. The addiction to struggle. You might not realize it yet, but many people are addicted to struggle. They don't consciously choose it, but emotionally they've learned to feel safe in it. It's the pattern of believing that life must always be hard, that nothing comes easy, that success is reserved for them, not us. And when life finally gives them peace or prosperity, they sabotage it because their nervous system isn't used to calm. They equate difficulty with worth. If it's not painful, it must not be real. But here's the truth. You were not born to struggle forever. You were born to build, and building requires strength, yes, but not suffering. The poor mind believes struggle is noble. The rich mind believes struggle is temporary. The poor stay loyal to hardship. The rich stay loyal to growth, because growth is progress. But struggle without purpose is just pain, with a story. You can't glorify the grind and expect grace. You can't worship exhaustion and expect excellence. Stop romanticizing hardship. You don't need to suffer to prove you're worthy. You need to think smarter to prove you're ready. Chapter 10. Self-worth builds net worth. Here's the hidden link between psychology and prosperity. You will never rise financially above what you believe you deserve internally. Your bank account is a mirror of your self-image. If you secretly believe you're not worthy of success, you'll unconsciously repel it. You'll delay action. You'll undercharge your value. You'll talk yourself out of opportunities that could change everything. That's why the rich don't just study business, they study themselves. They invest in therapy, coaching, reflection, anything that expands identity. Because wealth is built on worthiness, the poor think wealth is external validation. The rich know it's internal permission. If you believe you're valuable, you will demand more, negotiate better, and create bolder. If you believe you're not, you'll settle and call it humility. But humility isn't shrinking. It's strength under control. Don't confuse meekness for virtue. Quiet confidence is the true posture of prosperity. Because the rich don't shout, they show. Remember, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you believe you deserve. Chapter 11. The truth about environments. You can't think rich in a poor environment because your surroundings shape your standards. If everyone around you complains, you'll begin to normalize misery. If everyone around you spends, you'll begin to glorify consumption. The rich curate their environments intentionally. They understand that association is acceleration. You can't rise while surrounded by people who ridicule rise. Your circle must challenge you, not comfort you. If everyone around you agrees with you, you're not growing. You're stagnating. The poor crave belonging. The rich crave becoming. They'd rather be the least experienced in a powerful room than the most accomplished in a powerless one, because exposure expands expectation. Once you see how far you can go, you'll never settle for where you are. That's why the rich pay for access, mentorships, masterminds, rooms that stretch them. They don't see it as a cost. They see it as calibration. You can't win playing small, and you can't think big, surrounded by small minds. Choose your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. Chapter 12. From consumer to creator. One of the biggest mindset shift between the rich and the poor is this: the poor consume value, the rich create it. The poor spend their energy reacting. The rich spend their energy building. Most people live on autopilot, watching, scrolling, buying and comparing. They think because they're busy, they're productive. But busyness is not progress. It's avoidance. Creators don't waste energy consuming what others make. They use that same energy to create what others need. You don't get paid for what you consume. You get paid for what you contribute. So every time you feel the urge to scroll, ask yourself, am I consuming or am I creating? Because one drains your potential and the other multiplies it. You don't need millions of followers to create value. You just need to solve one problem for one person, then repeat that process That's how businesses, brands, and wealth are built. Not overnight, but over ownership. Remember, the poor wait to be inspired. The rich create inspiration. Chapter 13. The luxury of time. The rich don't buy expensive things first. They buy back their time, because time is the only currency that doesn't inflate. You can always make more money. You can never make more moments. Poor thinking trades time for convenience. Rich thinking trades convenience for time. That's why the rich delegate early. They hire people to do what drains them so they can focus on what scales them. They don't say, I can do it all. They ask, should I be the one doing this? Because freedom isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things. The poor brag about being busy. The rich brag about being efficient. Time management isn't about schedules. It's about priorities. Every yes costs something. And the rich know the most expensive thing you can lose is focus. So protect your hours like your income depends on it, because it does. Chapter 14. Breaking the poverty mental loop. Here's how the poor mindset traps itself. 1. Scarcity thinking. There's not enough. 2. Fear-based decisions. What if I lose? 3. Short-term focus. I need results now. 4. Self-sabotage. It's not working. I'll stop. This loop keeps people spinning, forever busy, forever broke. But here's the formula. The rich use to break it. 1. Abundance mindset. I can create more. 2. Courage-based decisions. What if I win? 3. Long-term focus. It's not about this month. It's about this mission. 4. Resilience. Even when it's hard, I keep moving. That's it. That's the shift that rewrites destiny. You don't need a new economy. You need a new identity, because once your mind upgrades, your reality has no choice but to follow. You've now learned how the rich view work, time, and mindset. But in the next section, we'll unlock the one thing that amplifies all of it: financial intelligence. How the rich understand debt, taxes, risk, and systems, and how you can master the same mindset no matter where you start. This is where you stop playing small and start thinking strategically. Chapter 5. Financial intelligence. The hidden weapon. Financial freedom doesn't come from working harder. It comes from understanding the game. And most people lose because they never learn the rules. You see, schools teach you how to earn a living, but not how to build wealth. They teach you how to be an employee, not how to be an investor. That's not an accident. It's a design. Poor thinking believes the goal is a steady paycheck. Rich thinking knows the goal is passive cash flow. The poor say, I can't afford to lose money. The rich say, I can't afford to stop learning how money works. The difference: curiosity versus fear. Financial intelligence isn't about becoming a math genius. It's about mastering the flow, the movement of money. The poor spend money. The middle class save money. The rich circulate money. They put their money into motion, investing, multiplying, compounding. They know that money, like energy, must move to grow. If it sits idle, inflation eats it. If it's invested, knowledge feeds it. And the richest people in the world understand one truth: you don't work for money. Money works for you. That's not arrogance, it's awareness. Chapter 16. Good debt versus bad debt. The poor fear debt. The rich understand it. Debt is a tool, neutral until directed. Bad debt buys pleasure. Good debt buys potential. Bad debt funds consumption. Good debt funds creation. If you borrow to buy what loses value, you shrink your future. If you borrow to build what gains value, you expand it. The poor swipe credit cards to escape boredom. The rich use leverage to escape limitation. Every dollar you borrow must earn its keep. If it doesn't bring you more value than it costs, it's not an investment. It's a liability. That's how the wealthy think. They don't avoid debt. They control it. And control comes from clarity. You can't master what you don't measure. So track your spending, audit your habits, and make sure every expense has a purpose. Because financial discipline is not about deprivation. It's about direction. Remember, the poor get into debt for things that fade. The rich use debt for things that last. Chapter 17. Taxes and Systems. Here's what separates the financially intelligent from the financially exhausted. The poor work in the system. The rich learn how to use it. They study tax laws, corporate structures, and incentives not to cheat, to compete. They understand that every system has loopholes, and those loopholes reward strategy, not emotion. While most people complain about taxes, the rich ask, how can I legally minimize them? They invest through businesses, they deduct expenses that build value, and they use laws designed to reward creation. That's the secret. The system favors creators. The more value you bring to society, the more the system rewards you. You can hate that, or you can learn it, because emotion doesn't build wealth, education does. If you spend more time scrolling than studying, you're already paying a tax, the ignorance tax, and that one costs more than any government bill ever could. Chapter 18. How the rich think about risk. The poor fear risk because they think it leads to loss. The rich respect risk because they know it leads to leverage. Every opportunity carries uncertainty, but the rich don't eliminate uncertainty. They manage it. They do their research, they seek mentors, they take calculated steps. The poor wait until everything feels safe. The rich act before it's perfect. Perfection is just another form of procrastination. You'll never be ready. You'll only ever be willing. And willingness is what creates movement. Remember this. The poor see risk as danger. The rich see it as data. Every mistake teaches, failure refines. Every setback sharpens your next decision. The difference between the poor and the rich isn't that one avoids mistakes, it's that one learns faster from them. The poor quit at loss. The rich adjust and relaunch. Because the goal isn't safety, it's sustainability, the compound effect. Wealth isn't built overnight, it's built over alignment. Every small choice compounds. Your habits, your health, your hustle. The poor look for the big break. Rich build small consistency, because compounding isn't just financial, it's behavioral. A $1 decision done daily multiplies faster than a $1,000 one done rarely. That's why the rich obsess over process, not outcomes. They know that every action, every investment, every discipline is a deposit into the future. And while the poor chase dopamine, the rich chase dividends. You can't expect overnight wealth from occasional discipline. Success is interest earned on persistence. You want change? Then stop sprinting. Start stacking. Stack knowledge. Stack skills. Stack systems. And watch your future grow from the invisible to the inevitable. Remember, the rich don't chase returns. They create routines that return results. Chapter 20. Playing the long game. The poor look for quick wins. The rich play for legacy. They understand that wealth is built slowly, quietly, through seasons of unseen effort. They're patient when others are panicking. They stay calm when the market shakes. They think in decades, not days. That's why the rich get richer. Not because they're lucky, but because they're long-term thinkers. The poor spend 10 years avoiding discomfort. The rich spend 3 years enduring it, and the rest of their lives benefiting from it. You can't build an empire with a microwave mindset. If you think in weeks, you'll quit in months. If you think in decades, you'll dominate for generations. Long-term vision requires emotional control to stay disciplined while others drift, to stay grounded when others panic, to stay focused while others flex. Because the long game rewards endurance, not excitement. Remember, you don't get rich fast, you get rich focused. Now that you've seen how financial intelligence transforms thinking, the next part will take you even deeper into the inner game of emotional wealth. Because even when your bank grows, if your inner peace doesn't, you'll still feel poor. The rich aren't just wealthy in money, they're wealthy in mindset. Let's talk about how to achieve both. Chapter 21. Emotional wealth. The foundation of rich thinking. You can't hold wealth if your emotions are broke. Because no matter how much money you earn, if you still live in fear, scarcity, and insecurity, you'll lose it. That's why true wealth begins with emotional control. The poor react, the rich respond. The poor panic at uncertainty. The rich pause and analyze. The poor let feelings lead decisions. The rich let discipline guide them. It's not that the rich don't feel fear. They just don't let fear have the final vote. They know emotion is temporary, but consequences are permanent. So, they've trained their minds to stay calm in chaos. They built emotional muscle, the ability to hold pressure without breaking, to face rejection without quitting, to handle setbacks without self-doubt. That's emotional wealth, and without it, financial wealth will always slip through your hands because you can't master money until you master yourself. Remember, you can't grow a rich life from a poor spirit. Chapter 22. Why the rich stay calm. Have you ever noticed how truly wealthy people rarely look rushed? They move slowly, speak intentionally, and seem completely unbothered by noise. That's not arrogance, it's mastery. The rich understand that panic is expensive. When emotion rises, logic falls. They stay calm because they trust themselves. They've practiced making decisions under pressure. They've learned that urgency creates mistakes and patience compounds wisdom. When markets crash, the poor sell in fear. The rich buy in strategy. When life gets uncertain, the poor react emotionally. The rich adapt intelligently. That's why emotional neutrality is a superpower. If you can stay grounded while everyone else loses their balance, you'll always come out ahead, because chaos reveals character. Remember, the poor chase comfort. The rich chase composure. Chapter 23. Detaching from opinions. One of the greatest differences between poor and rich thinking is how much they care about approval. The poor mind is addicted to validation. The rich mind is addicted to vision. When you think poor, you need everyone to agree with your dreams before you move. When you think rich, you move and let results speak. The poor want to be liked. The rich want to be respected. That's why they can handle rejection. They know disapproval is part of distinction. The poor change direction when criticized. The rich double down when challenged. They understand that opinions are free, but results are earned. You can't build wealth and please everyone. The moment you choose to elevate, you'll offend those who prefer average. But don't let their comfort dilute your clarity, because in this life, you're either following approval or following purpose, and you can't do both. Remember, the poor seek acceptance, the rich seek alignment. Chapter 24. Self-discipline over self-doubt. Everyone wants success until discipline enters the room. Because discipline demands consistency and consistency feels boring. But that boredom, that quiet repetition is exactly where wealth is born. The poor look for motivation. The rich rely on discipline because motivation is temporary. Discipline is identity. The poor say, I won't feel like it. The rich say, I'll do it anyway. And that's what separates dreamers from doers. If you want to rise, train your mind to act independent of emotion. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up even when it's imperfect. Discipline doesn't restrict you, releases you from laziness, from inconsistency, from regret. The rich aren't more talented. They're more trained. And training is available to everyone, willing to choose it daily. Remember, discipline isn't punishment. It's preparation. Chapter 25. Energy Management. The poor protect money, the rich protect energy. Because energy is the source of creation. You can't think clearly when you're drained. You can't lead when you're burned out. You can't create wealth. Your soul is exhausted. That's why rich thinkers guard their focus fiercely. They say no often, they delegate. They rest strategically, they know that burnout kills brilliance. The poor think rest is laziness, the rich know rest is leverage. They schedule silence, they make space for reflection, because stillness sharpens strategy. You can't pour from an empty mind. Every yes you say to someone else is a no to something within yourself. So choose wisely. Your time isn't your most valuable asset. Your energy is. Remember, the poor manage hours, the rich manage attention. Chapter 26. Gratitude has a strategy. You might not expect this one, but it's a secret of every truly wealthy person I've met. They practice gratitude daily, deliberately. Not because it's trendy, but because it aligns their energy with abundance. The poor focus on what's missing. The rich focus on what's multiplying. The poor complain about what they can't control. The rich celebrate what they can create. Gratitude doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. Because it shifts your focus from scarcity to potential. From I don't have enough to I can do more with what I have. And when you start thinking that way, you operate differently, you negotiate differently, you attract differently. Gratitude doesn't deny struggle. It just refuses to let struggle define the story. Remember, gratitude is not weakness. It's wealth awareness. You're learning the mental and emotional code that wealthy people live by. But there is final transformation that ties it all together. In the next section, we'll go beyond money, beyond mindset, and into meaning. Because wealth without purpose is emptiness in disguise. And when you align purpose with prosperity, you become unstoppable. Chapter 27. Beyond money. The purpose paradigm. At some point, money stops being the goal. Not because it doesn't matter, but because it's no longer enough. You see, the poor chase survival. The middle class chase comfort. The rich chase meaning. Understand that wealth without purpose becomes poison. That if your only aim is accumulation, you'll eventually drown in emptiness. Because success without significance feels hollow. It's the reason why billionaires still work after they've won. Not for more zeros, but for more impact. When the poor think of money, they ask, how can I spend it? When the rich think of money, they ask, how can I use it? Use it to create, to employ, to elevate. Purpose is the secret fuel that keeps them moving long. After comfort could have stopped them. The rich don't retire from work, they retire from worry, because once money no longer owns your peace, you can finally own your mission. Remember, money is a tool. Purpose is the architect. Chapter 28. The legacy mindset. The rich don't think in years. They think in generations. They're not just building wealth for themselves, but for those who will come after. They ask questions like, what will this create when I'm gone? What system am I leaving behind? What values will carry my name? Legacy isn't about ego, it's about endurance. The poor build moments, the rich build momentum, and that momentum continues even after they're gone. They set up trusts, they invest in education, they create foundations that outlive their lifetimes, because true wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much you leave behind that keeps earning. Legacy is proof that your impact didn't end when your breath did. Remember, the poor chase inheritance, the rich create legacy. Chapter 29. The power of contribution. Every rich thinker understands a truth most people overlook. Giving doesn't make you poorer. It multiplies your richness, not just financially, spiritually, emotionally. When you give with purpose, you operate from abundance, not fear. That's why the richest people on earth are also the most philanthropic. They give not because they have to, but because they choose to. They know the secret law of the universe. What you send out expands. The poor hold on tight, afraid there won't be enough. The rich give freely, knowing value always finds its way back. Contribution keeps your wealth alive. It circulates your blessings and opens new channels for more, because when you hoard, you stagnate, but when you contribute, you create flow. And the more you flow, the more the world flows back toward you. Remember, you don't lose by giving. You lose by holding back. Chapter 30. Redefining success. Here's a secret you won't hear in motivational quotes. Definition of success changes as you grow. For the poor, success means freedom from debt. For the middle class, success means stability. For the rich, success means freedom of purpose. The poor say, I want enough to survive. The rich say, I want enough to serve. Success isn't about comparison, it's about contribution. It's about waking up, knowing your life has meaning, that what you do matters, that your energy leaves people better than it found them. The poor define success by possession. Rich define success by progression. They ask, am I growing? Am I learning? Am I giving? That's the wealth that can't be taxed. The wealth of evolution. Because you can't measure true success in numbers. You measure it in impact. Remember, the poor chase things, the rich chase transformation. Chapter 31. The mindset of freedom. Freedom isn't just financial, it's psychological. It's the ability to wake up and choose your day, to say no without guilt, to walk away without fear, to rest without feeling lazy. That's the true reward of wealth, choice. The poor mindset feels trapped by life. The rich mindset feels empowered by it. Freedom is the capacity to design your existence instead of reacting to it. That's why the rich protect their independence fiercely. They know that dependency on validation, income, or opinion is the enemy of freedom. Every time you rely too much on approval, you surrender a piece of your power, and freedom is the ultimate return on investment. Remember, money buys comfort. Mindset buys freedom. Chapter 32. Spiritual wealth. Let's go even deeper, because here's a truth the world rarely tells you. If your soul is poor, your success will still feel like struggle. Many of the richest people in history learned this the hard way. They built empires, but lost themselves in the process. That's why spiritual wealth matters. Because no number can fill the silence of a disconnected heart. Spiritual wealth doesn't mean religion. It means alignment, peace of mind, gratitude in motion, knowing you're walking a path that honors who you are. The poor seek escape from reality. The rich seek connection to purpose. Because when your spirit is rich, every obstacle becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes feedback. Every day becomes a gift. And that mindset, that alignment, is the ultimate currency of life. Remember, the richest life is the one lived in peace. You've now seen the outer game of money and the inner game of meaning. In the next and final part, we'll bring it all together. The strategy, the psychology, the purpose, and transform it into one unified philosophy for living wealthy in every sense. Because the goal isn't just to make money. It's to become someone who never loses themselves while doing it. Chapter 33. The Integrated Wealth Code. Now we arrive at the part most people never reach. The point where you realize wealth isn't about numbers. It's about wholeness. You can have all the money in the world, but if your mind is restless, your relationships hollow, and your purpose forgotten, you're still living poor. True wealth integrates 4 forms of capital. 1. Mental capital, what you know. 2. Social capital, who you know and how you show up. 3. Financial capital, what you grow. 4. Spiritual capital, what you believe in and stand for. Poor thinking chases one at the expense of the rest. Rich thinking cultivates all four in harmony. Because when your life is integrated, you stop chasing and start creating. Stop asking, how do I get more, and start asking, how do I give more, build more, and become more? And that's when wealth stops being a goal and becomes a byproduct. It's not luck, it's alignment. The people who seem unstoppable are not superhuman. They're simply unified. Their thoughts, actions, and intentions move in one direction. That's the art of the integrated life. Remember, when you align what you think, say, and do, the world aligns back. Chapter 30. Wealthy thinking. If you want to stop thinking poor, you don't need a miracle. You need habits. Daily repetition of wealthy thoughts, disciplined emotional regulation, intentional time management. The rich don't do extraordinary things occasionally. They do ordinary things extraordinarily well. This is your moment. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more builders, more thinkers, more people who stop waiting for luck and start working with logic. You are one decision away from a completely different future. So take this audiobook as a mirror. Look at yourself, not as you are, but as you're becoming. And if something in this story hit you hard, don't just feel it, follow it. Write in the comments, which principle will you start living today? Which old belief will you finally let go of? And if this message stirred something in you, share it with someone who needs it, someone who's ready to rise but doesn't yet believe they can. Because sometimes one word can change life. And maybe this was that word. Hit like to make a promise to yourself. Subscribe to stay consistent with your growth, and keep listening, because this journey of mastery is just the beginning. The poor think in limits, the rich think in lessons.